So I want to talk briefly just about the sadness of our modern world and the sadness of what modern feminism has done to society, um, particularly to families and children, which is the saddest part of all of it. So this guy, I follow this guy, and I follow another guy who follows this guy on one of my alt social media accounts, and that's not me. I'm not Jay Dillon, but anyway, um, you got to be incognito as much as you can. But this guy says, "Don't let chicks pull the wool over your eyes, guys. There's a massive rebranding effort taking place in women's feminist circles right now. The consensus among women is that men are now very much aware of having been disenfranchised, and women are trying to extinguish the fires they have started to prevent you guys from taking measures to reverse what they have done." Brilliant. Perfect. Yes. They are essentially doing the exact same thing that the male elites are doing, running damage control. Modern women think with the same mind and are spiritually married to these men. In other words, the people, the social engineers behind the scenes who actually really started modern feminism, the evil elites behind the scenes that we've known about for years, that we've talked about and exposed, etc. The ones who started feminism in order to dismantle the family unit and damage America, right? This is all planned. Feminism isn't this organic thing that came about because, oh, these women were just, being oppressed. Oh no, no. This is controlled demolition, right? This is manufactured. All of feminism was manufactured. It's planned, right? They think with the same mind, right? The unwitty, the unknowing feminists who have been damaged by these people have now become one with them. That's brilliant. That absolutely makes sense. It's absolutely something that's true. It's absolutely something that, they're running damage control. So this is the result of the internet. This is a result of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech exposes what's really going on. This is why there's so much disinformation campaigns. This is why there's so much censorship for people who do not have, quote unquote, the right narrative, who are not, aligned with what the elites want the world to think, right? This is why people like, and I don't think Andrew Tate is a moral person personally. I don't think his personal life is anything to, exemplify. However, Andrew Tate was speaking massive truths against the modern narrative, against the mainstream narrative that the elites, the people behind the news, the people behind the media, etc., want America to digest, right? Spiritually, right? This massive leftist push. Andrew Tate was exposing all of it. This is why they tried to cancel him. This is why they're trying to kill him. They're trying to put him in jail. They're trying to anyways, that's a different story. But the point is that well, it's not really a different story. It's all part and parcel of the same thing. If they can't shut you up, then they will try to extinguish you somehow. But this is, and I've seen this, and this is true. What women are doing is they're pivoting. They're it's called controlled opposition, or no, it's called what, controlled opposition, something like that. Yeah, controlled opposition, where you have agents who are trying to pretend like they're one of you, and then they're subtly injecting a kind of mixture. They're subtly injecting a kind of schism into the truth that's being told, to slightly change the narrative, slightly adjust it to go a different route. And this has been happening probably I'd say for 10 years, on a smaller scale. And I think it's I shouldn't say a smaller scale. I should say it's subtly been going on. If you really pay attention and you really know how to discern. A lot of the females who've jumped in the manosphere, jumped in the red pill sphere, right? They've been kind of been, they have mixture, right? I don't, I think of a few, but there's mixture, and they're also profiteers, and I've talked about them, chameleons, where they come in and act like, oh yeah, we're totally for men, da da da, but really there's a selfish motivation behind it all, right? So let's see. So he says, the only thing that these women are truly concerned about is with consolidating their gains and scraping by unscathed. Right. So a lot of times, and this is the same thing what happens when a woman will hit her epiphany phase. It's all about modern feminism, screw men, both literally and figuratively, right? In their early 20s. And then once they hit 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, they go through their epiphany phase. And you could say it's hitting the wall. You could say they're realizing that it's time. Oh, it's time for me to change now. I need to have a family. I want kids. Now I got to change the narrative. Now it's no longer screw men. Now it's, oh, I'm going to be a male ally, or I'm going to be a chameleon, and I'm going to pretend like I'm red pilled or whatever. It's always solipsism. It's always self-seeking. So this is 100% correct what this guy's saying. They are not perturbed by the status of men. They're perturbed by the fact that men are now aware of their status. Right. So it's shifted from like this narrative where misogyny is the patriarchy is misogyny. Male leadership is the problem. No, now it's shifted from like, oops, the guys are figuring out that we have all the power. Oops, the guys are figuring out on a massive scale that, we're manipulating them, that we are, subtly running the system, and they're getting wise. Oops, now we got to pretend. Now we got to try to be buddy with them. Now we got to act like, oh yeah, I'm not like those other girls. This is where women always, this is where you get to see the real female nature, the real slyness of it, where like it's always, they're always waiting around at the finish line for the winners. And this is a great example of it. Whenever the winds of change have shifted, they will always try to be on the positive side. Oh, okay, so the narrative is shifting from men are bad to, feminism is bad. So how can I capitalize on this? Well, let me pretend to be anti-feminism. Let me pretend to be, I'm not one of those girls, so now I'm going to pretend to be a pick-me girl, or now I'm going to pretend to be a trad girl. I was a total feminist in college. I was sleeping around, all the benefits in college when I was a free girl, and all the benefits of modern feminism. But now that I'm older, now that I'm, realizing that, okay, it's time to have kids, it's time to settle down. Now I'm going to be a trad girl. Now I'm going to pretend, I'm a born again virgin now, right? So it's always solipsism. It's always self-seeking, right? They're always trying to dodge accountability. They're always trying to dodge responsibility for their behavior. They don't want any of the consequences, and they're always trying to utilize men and manipulate men in order to get what they want. This is why simps and guys, blue pill guys, are so detrimental to accountability for them, because they're basically a get out of jail free card. And this is also why simps are so bad for real quality men, is because they give them the out. Oh, there's always a simp I can marry. There's always a simp who will come and defend me. There's always, but at the end, everybody suffers. And I was thinking about the incalculable damage, because how many abortions did she have by the time she hits 28, right? How many unborn children did she kill, right? I guess it's between 500 and 800,000 per year in the US. That's an average. It might be less, it might be more, but that's, according to my studies, that's what I've got. Abortions. I mean, that's sick, right? How much damage does 50% divorce rate cause the world? Women are initiating 80% of divorce. At least I think this is in America, but throughout the world, what is it? I don't even know. Maybe it's higher. the incalculable damage there. The children, growing up out of wedlock, their parents are either not talking or separated or not loving each other like they're supposed to. The family unit has been incalculably damaged. Massive, massive damage. We all know the statistics of children raised by single mothers, of children raised in single parent households. It's very bad. It's very damaging for society. It's dismantling the foundations of traditional family values. All of this is from modern feminism. All of this is from the social engineers. All of this is from this lie that that there's something called the patriarchy, and men are fundamentally oppressive, and their nature is fundamentally dangerous, right? Call into question masculinity calling into question masculinity threw off the family unit. It threw off love. It threw off proper relationships, proper marriage. The removal of social stigma in the 1960s, right, after second wave feminism, killed courtship. It killed proper marriage. It's okay to have sex before marriage. That's you expressing your independence as a female. That's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All this insidious propaganda, this insidious social engineering is all it is, right? And so now that the red pill, because men love the truth, real quality men love the truth. Anybody who's trying to suppress the truth is a weak person. Anybody who's trying to group together to put out disinformation campaigns, to put out propaganda against strong family values, anybody who's a proponent of that is a weak person, right? Weak people hide behind disinformation campaigns, right? And so any guy who's claiming to be a feminist, claiming to be, oh yeah, screw the patriarchy, that's a weak person who is trying to get in on his own, or who's not trying to get in on his own value, his own merits, but he's trying to slide in on some BS, right? So he says, until you see women as a collective come forward and say, hey, here's exactly what you did to you guys. Let's have a long, open dialogue about it. And we're sorry for all of it. I wouldn't trust a word they say. They're still buying into their end of the dialectic. Their actions and lifestyles are a vivid testament to it. Right. So, until you see women as a collective come forward and say, hey, here's exactly what we did to you guys. Let's have a long, open dialogue about it. That's very true. And it's what's sad is that, they won't accept accountability. They won't accept the reality of what's going on. They can't. They fight against it. They because they have this narrative and they can't accept it. If you've ever talked to somebody who's like a hardcore feminist or a hardcore leftist, they can't listen to reason. The best they can do is argue with you. The best they can do is attack you. Their cognitive dissonance is such that they can't. It's just like, it's like oil and water. It doesn't mix. Reasoning is not in these people's behavior list. It's not in these people's dialogue. It's not in these people's dictionary or whatever. They can't logic and reason. They can't admit they were wrong. They can't admit, what I mean? There's no dialogue. It can't happen because they can't admit to themselves what's going on. So what he's saying is very true. It's just like there's a shift, and it's like they're realizing, oh, the red pill is becoming extremely popular, and I got to figure out a way to profit from this. I got to figure out a way to so there's a lot of women who are becoming chameleons. A lot of women who are it's always whatever benefits them in the moment, right? And I've said this many times before about women dating. It's always what benefits them in the moment. As long as something stops benefiting them, or once something stops benefiting them, they jump ship. They switch, they pivot, they transmorph into something else, right? This is why I was saying, there's plenty of women out here in college in their 20s who are benefiting from the feminist lies, benefiting in a short-term way, not a long-term way. They're actually losing in the long term because the effects of it are damaging, the consequences of it are damaging. It's damaging their soul, their personality. It's damaging their future children, their future relationships. They just don't realize it, right? It's damaging it in subtle ways, which will be shown in the long term. But to them, they don't care because it's always what they want in the moment. Oh, right now I want hot guys for sex. Later on, I want a guy who's got money so he'll take care of me. But what they're missing out on is proper family. What they're missing out on is proper love. What they're missing out on is proper morality, proper truth, proper having a good conscience, right? These are intangibles that, because the world is so sick, because the world is so founded on lust and greed and selfishness and self-seeking desires, things like that. Because of all that, it doesn't matter because it's when you throw God out of the picture and you throw morality out of the picture, what's left? Well, selfishness, greed, corruption, self-gain. That's all that's left. When you take away a higher power and a moral, righteous set of tenets to follow, then what are you left with? You're left with all the all the damage of selfishness, all the damage of sin, all the damage of again, what are these things? Lust, greed, perverseness, right? What is fornication? It's immorality, right? Any institution, whether it's feminism or liberalism or social justice warriors or whatever name you have that we're scared to say, right? Because if you say something like that, you're a bigot or whatever. All this attack, when all these institutions that attack you for telling the truth, right? If they tell you it's okay to be immoral, then they're a defunct institution. If they say, oh, it's okay to go sleep around because it doesn't matter, you remove slut shaming. Slut shaming is I'm not saying slut shaming is nice per se, but it's there for a reason. It's there so that you will not ruin yourself. It's just like your parents telling you not to run into the street. Don't don't run with scissors. It's like, oh, you're just oppressing me by telling me I can't do something, right? It's my body. I can do what I want. It's my body. I can run into traffic if I want. It's my body. I can run with scissors if I want to run with scissors. Like, there's a reason why there is stigma around certain things. There's a reason. Because you're going to get an STD. You're going to get pregnant out of wedlock. You're going to get your heart broken, or you're going to break somebody else's heart. You're going to get damaged in some way in your soul. These are real things that are really happening to a lot of people. Why is there so much anger and hatred? Why is there so much confusion out there? Why is there so much damage? Do you think maybe it has to do with the morality of the people? Do you think it's linked to that at all? Right? But no, instead of just admitting this and saying, hey, oh, you know what, we've killed millions of children, and they'll fight you and argue and say, oh, they're not really children, which is disgusting and sick, right? I mean, just horrific, like serial killer type stuff. Like, oh, it's not a human being. Like, what's more sick than that? That's like something straight out of a horror movie. Oh, it's not a human being until it comes out of the womb. Like, it's just sick. It's absolutely disgustingly sick. Can they admit that? Can they admit the atrocity there? Can they admit the damage from divorce? Can they admit that they hated men? Can they admit that they used men and manipulated men? Can they admit that they've been living in immorality with the fornication? Can they admit that they've been using men for money? Can they admit that they've been lying and being selfish? I mean, the what's the word? I can't think of the word, but I'll just say like the diagnosis. What is the diagnosis? I mean, narcissism, at least narcissism, borderlining inside psychopathy, right? It's gotta be. I mean, is that the right word? Psychopath behavior. I mean, killing your own children. To me, that's psycho. Like that's sick. But the lie that that's okay, the lie that they're just parasites. I mean, I've argued with feminists for years and years talking about that unborn children are parasites. Can you imagine calling your child a parasite? How sick is that? How sick? Oh, you're just a clump of cells. Well, so are you. Humans are just a clump of cells. It's absolutely unconscionable how sick these people are. Um, yeah, man. So it's very sad, and it's not that we are, the people in the red pill speaking the truth are against uh, women, right? We're not against women as a whole. It's the behavior. It's the immaturity. Immaturity is not even the right word. It's the not being able to take accountability, not being able to be a grown up and say, hey, let's talk about this. This isn't right. The way men are being treated isn't right. You know, when we talk about when we go in and speak the truths about this stuff, it's not from a place of this is what they always try to say. Oh, you just hate women. No, it's not from a place of hatred. It's from a place of oppression. Really, it's from a place of inequality. You fight for your rights. If there's something if you're being taken advantage of, if there's some kind of injustice going on, then you fight for your rights. You speak out the truth. The truth will set you free. The truth brings in light. And if you can't admit to what's really going on, if you can't have an open dialogue, a reasonable dialogue, and say, hey, this is really going on, these are statistics, men everywhere are saying the same thing, then you're an oppressor, or you're a manipulator. At best, you're a manipulator. At worst, you're an oppressor, because if it's a collective effort, which I believe it is, for the most part, to again pull the wool over men's eyes, manipulate men, or get over on them, take advantage in one way or another, then that's a that's a massive dodging of accountability. You can't. We've lost our humanity at that point. You become pirates. You become criminals. You become outlaw. It's like when you dodge the mainstream truth, when you dodge the actual experiences of people that you're hurting or people you're manipulating, and you gaslight them and attack them, you're no longer playing on the same field as a regular human. You're distorted. You're behaving like animals. You're behaving like pirates or criminals or whatever the word is. You're not normal. If there's something that's going on and it's an obvious injustice, if it's obviously wrong, if there's an obvious inequality going on, and men, particularly in this case, are talking about it on a massive scale, and you come in and just call them incels, or you come in and just say, oh, you just hate women, or you're just bitter because you can't get laid, or all this gaslighting, this disinformation campaign, or you come in and try to act like, oh yeah, I agree with you, so you can get the benefits. I mean, that's insidious, right? That's you know we've lost, and at its core, what people are missing, even in the red pill community, what people are missing is that at its core, the subtlety behind all of it is Satan. The subtlety behind all of it is the devil, because he's the one who manipulates. He's the one who pulls the strings in people's hearts, and makes them do evil. He's the one who gives insidious evil suggestions into their minds in order to blind them. There's a verse in the Bible that says the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, right? He's blinded people's minds, and he has this power, and people don't even realize that he's manipulating them mentally or emotionally, or using these mediums, such as feminism, such as radical feminism, such as the insidiousness of all this political propaganda, right? All this left right dichotomy, pitting us against each other, all this stuff that may be being worked out through the social engineers behind the scenes, but really their god is Satan. These people are Satanists, these people behind the scenes. And what people don't realize is that this all of this is satanic. Why? Because it attacks something that God has ordained: a family unit, marriage, proper nuclear family. God ordained that. That was God's gift, really, to mankind, because families is what makes humans tick. We all need a good family. We all need a proper husband, a proper wife, good quality children. This is all something that most people, majority of people, want deep down. They want a loving spouse, and they want loving children, and they want a good family life. Most people want this, but we live in a distorted world that's being attacked. That foundational, traditional framework, that cornerstone of humanity, which is the family and marriage, has been attacked by Satan behind the scenes. So there you go, man. I mean, it's a sad thing. Ultimately, it's a sad thing. And this is something, I've been talking about this for 10 years now. This is just, if you have discernment, you can tell this is what's going on. If you're in the thick of it, if you're talking to people, if and this was from my experience from dating. And then I realized, oh, these people are warped. These women are damaged from modern feminism. These women are damaged from all this propaganda out there. And then you realize what's behind the scenes. And if you don't see it, if you don't have the right kind of eyes, if you don't have discernment, you can easily get caught up in it, or you won't think it's real, or you don't understand it. But honestly, when you see it, when you get a glimpse of it, and then you go out and you talk to people and you have discussions, or I should say a lot of it arguments, you realize how true it really is and how deeply seated it really is in these people's beings. And you're like, wow, that's effective. That is an effective, potent propaganda machine. It's an effect, to not just, I mean, yes, the effect is people's actions, but the core of it is people's beliefs. I mean, when you can affect people's beliefs, then you really got them. In order to control a person's actions, first you have to affect their beliefs. And that is what, the social engineers and Satan has done behind the scenes with modern feminism, with all this leftist liberal propaganda, all this stuff, which again is anti-family. Now, I'm not saying people have to have a family, or I'm not advocating control or force in any way. If people don't want to have a family, if people want to be feminists and want to hate men and want to call us misogynists and blah blah, all the stuff that they do, if they want, everybody has a choice. They can do that. The thing that I'm saying is, don't be fooled into it. Don't realize that, don't not realize that it's a lie. And that's what I would say ultimately is we need to expose the lie. It's all a lie. Modern feminism is a lie. It's based upon lies. It's based upon untruths. There's no patriarchy. Men are not oppressive as a whole. It's not true. It's based on a lie. Right? Men have always been protective of our families. We've always been protective, and if you want to get to the root of it, God instituted males as leaders. It is what it is. That's not an oppressive position. It's a loving position. It's not an oppressive position to be a leader of a family. That's, to say, oh, I'm a patriarch as in some kind of negative thing. No, it means you have a responsibility to care for this family financially. You have a responsibility to care for this family's well-being, physically and otherwise. And that's why God made men stronger. Now, does that mean that women should be barred from working, or women can't do what men can do, etc.? No, if they want to work, whatever. If they want to do it, if they have the same ability as a man, do it. That's fine. I'm never against that. I've always felt women should have the right to vote, should have the right to have freedom of choice, should have all the rights that men have. But however, when it comes to the family unit, right? Whenever, when it comes to families and things like that, there's different roles, and people want to naturally fall into those roles. Women are more nurturing, men are more responsible as far as paying the bills, as far as caring for the well-being of their family. When you blur the lines of those roles, you have problems. Women acting like men is a big problem. Women coming in and having the same type of ambition as men, the same type of it's ugly. It's unbecoming. It doesn't look right. It doesn't act, they don't act right. It's not normal, and it generally comes out distorted. It's not a one-to-one. It's not like, oh, women are competing with men in the workforce, and so they're it's just like, no, there's usually something that is distorted in some way. Meaning like, oh, instead of, yeah, I'm competing with men, I'm ambitious just like a man, and then she's getting her money being a prostitute, she's getting her money being a stripper, she's getting her money doing porn or having an OnlyFans or being a cam girl, right? A lot of times it comes back to sex. Now, I'm not saying there's not women out there who are workers. There's plenty. I'm not saying there's women out here who aren't in the workforce, who aren't graduating from college. It's plenty. But a lot of times it's different. Now, hey, if you want to go into the relationship, into the marriage or whatever, earning your money, that's fine. It's a different world, whatever. I'm very, I'm very pliable as far as that goes. I know it's a different world, but again, when I say roles, a lot of it is based on nature. A lot of it is based on women are more nurturing. A woman wants to be feminine. A woman deep down wants that role of a mother, of a nurturing mother, whereas deep down a man wants that role of a providing father, right? This is our nature. So when you go against that, again, I'm not saying women can't work. I'm not saying women can't do things that men can do. But when you go against your nature, you're not happy. And this is statistics. Statistically, women are happiest as homemakers. They're happiest at home raising children. They're on scale massively. Most of them are not happy in the workforce. They're not as happy in the workforce. That's a statistic. Most women are more happy being loving mothers, whereas most guys are happiest providing for the family. This is what guys want to do. This is why guys don't care what a woman does for work. This is why we just care: are you feminine? Are you can you care for a child? Are you pure? Are you moral? These types of things. Whereas a woman is like, she needs the guy to make money. This is in their nature. I've talked bad about that because a lot of it is manipulation. Yeah, nowadays it's like, it's a lifestyle that the women want, so they want to use you for your money and things like that. But anyway, if you want any more of that information, you can listen to my other videos. But I just want to touch on how sad this is. I wanted to talk, not to go off on a tangent and start to rehash old things, but it's not the same, between men and women out there. And of course, we know how it's played out. It's, particularly with regards to the morality of it, particularly with regards to the loss of any kind of righteous values. And now, what is it? Now it's just this distortion, this, this damaged thing where you got all these single mothers out here. You got all these, children out of wedlock. You got all this divorce. You got all this immorality, which has got all kinds of consequences. And this is what we talk about. So now they want to jump ship and switch over and act like, we're totally on board with you, but it's only to benefit them. Right? It's never really admitting, oh yeah, I was totally wrong. We're wrong. We need to change the culture. We need to teach our daughters better. We need to actually hold our daughters accountable. We need to actually hold women accountable as a whole. We need to, You know, if you're going to have autonomy, you need responsibility. There's no autonomy without responsibility. There's no autonomy. There's no such thing as autonomy without accountability. It doesn't work. You're not a grown adult human being if you dodge accountability, if you dodge responsibility for your actions, and you blame shift, and you blame men for your problems, and you blame this and you blame that. You're not an adult. This is why you see 35-year-old women crying on TikTok that they can't find a husband because, oh, all the guys they dated in the past were jerks. It's never their fault. And this is why. This is what needs to happen. It's totally right. There needs to be a talk, and there needs to be a cultural shift away from this damaging feminist culture. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Appreciate you listening. It's Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.